So this is Baruch Fleischman here at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and it is time for our shir from the ARI HaKodesh. These are actually the words of ARI HaKodesh as said to Rabbi Chaim Vital. This is a drush, and we are learning Kavanos, and the drushi of Shinui HaTfilos. Now the idea is that when you're coming into shul, and you're going to come to the Shemona Esrei, what's your kavana? What are you trying to do? So everybody says, well, concentrate on the simple meaning of the words. That's very good. But there are other higher levels of concentration that can be done at the same time as what we're talking about. So I'm going to read a little bit to start with, just off the top of the words of the Rav himself, and then we'll get into the Tiv a little bit more. So on page Kaf Bet, because we read this once before, let's go to it now. So there's actually another change that actually has to do with the tefillas that we're talking about. But who's that? It's this. When you're davening shachris, you're at Shemona Esrei. That's what you're doing now. You're praying the Shemona Esrei. Esrei balachash, and you're saying it quietly. So he says, you have to put your two hands together. So yaminecha, your right hand should be on top of your left hand. That is mitbaneh, that is the palm of the kaf yamim of your right hand. Al gabe achrei kaf smoli, so it should be on the back of the left hand. But tam adavar, what's the reason for this? Hu lefi shebetefillah Shemona Esrei is because in the tefillah of Shemona Esrei, oz hu knesses amochav is their anpin. This is the moment of real intimacy with the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. And the Malchim that are coming from the Most High are now coming into Zer Anpin, the Adam of the world of Atzilus. Kanoida. V'ozheim Yordan mispashte b'kol gufa. And then they come and they spread into the entire body of Zer Anpin. V'oz sarak l'kalav v'lechabeg yamina v'smolo. And that's the reason why we want to clasp the right hand and the left hand together. And also the smola yamina, and also what I guess it goes both ways, right on top of left, but the left is underneath the right, and they're together. V'laham take yad smol im yad yamim, and the reason for this is because the left line represents gevura, and so therefore we're coming over to sweeten it with our right hand, which represents chesed. So also we have this at the Tefilah of Mincha. He says be'esach amida bilvad, only at the time of the amida. You should loosen your hands and then put them together, just the way we said it before. Now we're in the Mincha, because I already told you, he says, the main thing about Mincha is only one thing. Hu amida bilvad is only the mida. The fact that we say Ashrei first, great. The fact that before that, if you look in the Sidurim, they also have other Mizmarim, those are great too. But the main part of it is the Shemona Esrei only. So all of the psalms we say before Mincha, they're only a custom. Now let's go over here to number Lamed Ches, and now we'll start. This is where we actually got to the last time. We'll try to pick up a little bit more. Now he says, but in Arvis. You should loosen and cause your hands to go together. From the very beginning of the davening until the end. Pirush So that's the first prayer that we say at nighttime. Ad shetashlim kol hamida, until you finish the entire mida. So he says only in the mida by chakras and only in the mida by mincha do you need to have your hands clasped in front of you, certainly not behind you. And the reason is because he has this word, the impression that is made by the chasadim, which winds up spreading into the whole body of Zer Anpin. It's still left over from the daytime. So therefore, at nighttime, you have to have the entire davening with your hands clasped. Now, there's a little something missing from that. Let's see what comes from the Tiv, and that will be our shir today, maybe. We'll see. So from the time that Arvis started, in other words, immediately after Baruch Hu, Ha'chiyuv ki me'ikar hadin. V'hu rak minhag, v'hu lo rak minhag. Now let's listen to this, and let me say it again. He says, now in regards to what you're doing with your hands, and if you go to a shtibel, if you go to different places, you see the people are going the wrong way with their hands, but that's okay. That's their minhag. But the minhag of the Rab is not like that. Sheba'arvis mevarechas ama'arav aravim, then the chiyuv to hold your hands together, one on top of the other, against your heart, really, he didn't mention that. Hu me'ikra adin is really from the root of the din. V'hu lo rak minhag, in other words, it's din. It's aloha l'moshe mesinai. V'gam nishar bo od rishima b'tefilas shachris and mincha, so there's also, because there is a rishimo still left over from the daytime's davening of shachris and mincha. V'kavonis a Rav al-Puke, so that what the Rav is trying to do is to exclude shebeshachris lifnei tefilas amida, that in shachris, before the Shmona Esrei, af shagam sham chayav lomer brachos meikar adin, even though we understand that the concept is, and I don't know really what he means by this, but I'll translate it. He says that Shechayab lomar brachos meikar adin. You have to say the brachos are from the root of the din. Ein srichen l'chavek yadecho rak b'tefilas amida atzma. But even so, that the brachos are really part of the whole prayer in chakras, but you don't put your hands together until you get to the amida. Came in sh'ad hamida, because until the amida, ein kanisas amochin klal. That's really, there's no, the mochim still have not come in. So he says at all. Of a mincha, so even in minchas, let's say like this, the mochin came in once before. V'yesh rishima meshachras, and there is a deposit, which really means an impression that's left over from their entrance. In other words, they lodged in there, and the place of their lodging is still there. So there also, you had to put your hands together. Amnam, machmash amiras amizmoran v'ashrei, who rock minhag ba'oma. So he says like this, when you come to, I think he's talking about mincha now. I got a little mixed up here. No, let's go back. Let me go back, because I'm a little mixed up. Of a mincha, yeah, he did say mincha. You don't really, chakras and, the mizmorim and ashrei really don't count. V'hoyet sarah gam kain l'chabek yadav, you had to put your hands together. Amna mamachmesh shachamiras and mizmorim v'ashrei who rock minha ba'ongba, but since what you say before the Shmona Esrei is just a custom, ein osim bo chibak yadayim, so therefore in that part you don't do chibak, your hands, and you don't do that in chakras either. L'umazera b'tefilas arvis, but corresponding to that, come to mount in nighttime. Shenishar adayim reshiva b'mochin de chakras of mincha, so there you still have in Zer Anpin something left over that came from chakras, there's an impression there, and from mincha's impression there too. V'gam shemiris ha-brachos hu chiyav al pi din, so that you have to say the brachos, all of these brachos, which is an obligation. V'chein tefilah difnecha tefilas amida, so therefore even before, because you're always involved in something which is an obligation, that is those prayers, 2 prayers that you have to say before the Shema, so on and so forth, that's part of the whole arrangement. So he said, so therefore, even before the tefillah of the midah, you have to clasp the hands together again. That's true, that the chsadim are still left over. There's some remnant of it still there from the tefillahs of the day. So you have to sweeten them, and I think there might have been a misprint there. It should have maybe said the gevuros, but we'll go on. So when you come to Yamid and Arvis, so therefore you have to clasp the hands at nighttime. The Arvis Atma, because now you see the Mochin, the Arvis themselves are coming in, so you have first the beginning part, which is a part of obligation, and it's a chiyuv for us to daven, and then also when you come to the Shmona Esrei, for sure. This is Baruch Fleischman at the Tikkun Elevator Kola.